Families play such an important part in recovery, and that's why we always like to have a parent share with us what it's like to live with the reality of your own child becoming unwell and the powerlessness that one feels as that unwellness progresses. And then the hope that one begins to discover when the right services with the right wellness recovery orientation is offered. Individuals find themselves become more self-determined in their recovery. So Shaylin is going to introduce Mary Brahms. No, her husband is not the composer of the symphonies, Mr. Brahms. But as I teased them, they would like to have the revenues from the recordings, if that were the case. But Shaylin, if you'd be so kind as to share with us our third speaker today.
For children and adolescents in need of DMH services, the work of recovery involves the whole family. Mrs. Brahms is here today to share her experience with supporting her daughter and finding the services that would make the difference for her and her whole family. Like so many recovery journeys, her story is about hope for what the future will bring.
Thank you. Thank you to Melissa Carter and for the Department of Mental Health for the privilege of being able to speak to you all today. I am blessed to be living on Cape Cod with my amazing family. My husband, Eric, who is here with me today, and crying. And our 4 beautiful daughters, Julia, who is 15, Ella, who is 13, Angelina, who is 11, and Lulu, who's almost 10. Our daughter Ella has been struggling for years with mental health challenges such as anxiety, depression, panic attacks, and OCD. Throughout the years, we have provided her with supports from various therapists and medical professionals. And they've all had differing ideas on how to help her. In October of 2014, we were at a friend's home for dinner when Ella asked to speak to me privately. I had no idea what was coming, and I never in my life expected my 11-year-old to start the conversation by saying, "I don't want to live, I want to kill myself." My whole world just stopped. I stood there and listened. I am cutting myself. I was going to kill myself, and my friends told me I should talk to you first. My whole world just stopped. I stood there. Sorry. She said she had a cutting kit at home, and that she was going to give it to me when we got there. As a parent, looking back through the past summer, I struggled with how I missed so many signs. How did I not notice the knives were missing from the kitchen or that she was hoarding Advil? Why was she completely isolating herself, and why was she wearing long sleeves and pants to the beach? I still didn't piece that something was horribly wrong together. This confession resulted with 2 hospitalizations throughout the remaining months of 2014. After these experiences with the hospitalizations, I realized several important things about our mental health system. The first being that there are no provisions for children suffering from mental health crises in most emergency rooms and hospitals. In my opinion, children do not belong in the general emergency room area unless they have a private space, nor do they belong with psychiatric adult patients within an emergency room. This leads to my second realization. There is insufficient accessibility to inpatient, psychiatric, and partial services for children within Massachusetts, and especially for those of us living on Cape Cod. Any child psychiatric facility facility that was going to be available for Ella was going to be at least 45 to 60 minutes away. This not only creates financial hardships for families, but it also creates an emotional hardship because that child is now taken away from its family and in most instances is either left alone at the hospital or is alone with just one parent. The third realization was that there seemed to be no specific person or agency that was available to help us. I had no idea how to navigate this maze that we call our mental health system. Thankfully, during the second hospitalization, we filled out paperwork and had at least started the process of qualifying for help from the Department of Mental Health. Sunday, January 4th, 2015, the day that changed our family and our lives forever, a day that I wish upon no one, and a day that too many parents have in common. Ella attempted to end her life by overdosing on medication just 5 days after being discharged from her last month-long CBAT stay. On that morning, I was awakened by my daughter Julia and her best friend telling me that there was something wrong with Ella. There were pills all over the floor and she wouldn't wake up. After finding her barely responsive with vomit all over her bed, I tried to wake her, but to no avail. Everything after that became a blur. Emergency personnel were going in and out of our home. Julia was trying to relocate her little sisters that were crying and asking questions. Ella was lying on the living room floor telling us, "Leave me alone and let me die. I want to die. I don't want to be here anymore." Throughout the chaos, I could barely breathe because this was my fault. This was happening because of me. Ella took my pills, and I have to live with that the rest of my life. My mind was racing with questions. How could I forget to put the meds in the lockbox? When I checked her last night, why didn't I see that something was wrong? How could Ella be so happy yesterday and then want to die last night? I felt helpless. There was nothing I could do but hold her hand and talk to her. I constantly reassured her how much we loved her. I kept telling her, "Don't you die on me. I am not letting you die." My head was spinning. None of this was making sense. What happened to my happy-go-lucky, funny, smart, beautiful 12-year-old? It was while that we were at Children's Hospital that I received the phone call which would change our journey in ways that I never imagined. Kathy from DH called just to follow up on a meeting we had had before Christmas. She had no idea what had happened with Ella and that we were at Children's, so I explained to her what had happened the previous day and how she tried to end her life. She assured me that DMH was going to be approving our application and that help was going to be on its way. My prayers had been answered. We were finally getting the help that we so desperately needed. Ella was being treated at facilities off Cape until late March of 2015. Our road was long, but with the support and guidance from DMH and our FSI team, JRI, we were able to prepare for Ella's homecoming. Many changes had to be completed prior to her arrival. DMI and our FSI team, the JRI group, worked to make sure that all the tasks were accomplished on time. It was imperative that all medications, poisons, sharps, razors, alcohol, they all must be moved into a locked closet now. It was also essential to fully go through Ella's room and make sure there wasn't anything there that she had hidden that she could harm herself when she got home. Ella has been fortunate enough to take vocal and guitar lessons from the assistance of DMH on a weekly basis. Listening to music has always been a go-to coping mechanism for her. Guitar lessons have allowed her a new musical coping method which she chose to use frequently. She now has turned this coping method of singing and playing into means of self-expression through songwriting. This has given her the confidence to get on stage for her music recital that was in November of 2015 and perform the first song she ever wrote. This was a truly defining moment for Ella. She was able to overcome her intense anxiety and social phobia to just be herself on stage. Our DMH and FSI team JRI, attends meetings regularly regarding Ella with school and other professionals that we might need assistance with. They continually discuss our goals, plan for transitions, and update Ella's safety plan. If there was ever an issue with Ella's IEP or educational needs, they allow us to access the educational advisors and advocates that we may need. Ella is offered additional support while in the local community setting by working with a therapeutic paraprofessional. The services that most positively affected our family are being able to have the FSI family therapy at our home. We have sibling and parent therapeutic meetings, and we also have access to a crisis line. One time we were able to utilize the crisis line when Ella became very dysregulated, and the on-call clinician came to our home at 9 p.m. She was able to calm Ella down and help Eric and I with strategies that we could use in the future if this happened again. DMH is invaluable to our family. Because of them, Ella was able to attend a 45-day therapeutic camp last summer called Radika. As much as she says she hated it, she made tremendous strides in communication with others and with her self-reflection, which was huge. She also successfully stopped harming herself when she had gotten back home. Our youngest girls were also given the opportunity to attend an overnight camp on Cape Cod, which we were so grateful for. It was wonderful that they were able to have a week of needed fun, hanging with peers and just being kids. I am so proud to say that Ella is thriving thanks to her family, her support systems, and most of all through her own hard work. As Bob had said earlier, I really do like to think that Ella has risen, and she's flying high at this moment. And I know in my heart, Ella and our family would not be where we are today if we hadn't had the privilege of working with DMH and our FSI team from JRI. Thank you.